in hindsight, I think self-driving cars was viewed as the pinnacle of AI. And since it's become really a back burner and not paid attention to as much any longer. But it still is an industry that
people like to drive.
Forward. What's that?
People like to drive.
People like to drive, and in areas where they test self-driving cars, drivers avoid them like the plague because they don't know how to drive. And one of the aspects of this is shown at like a four-way stop or a roundabout. Humans monitor the other humans to see how much they're paying attention. So when you're driving, if you look somebody in the eye, then they take their turn. If you don't look them at the eye, they might wait a little bit before they take their turn.
Take more info.
The self-driving cars do not currently have the awareness of the other drivers, and they just stutter through these intersections, and they hold up traffic behind them and so forth. So, so they're avoided. And then the other thing about self-driving cars is currently they're only able to be developed in good weather states. So Arizona, California to some degree, Florida.
Sure.
And they are unable to drive when it's raining, for example.
They should see
or foggy.
Or
the snow if they can't see the lines on the road. All those things.
Interesting.
I find it interesting. So Uber they've canceled the research because of a fatality, but they were doing self-driving cars, and they were using Volvos, which had collision avoidance features on the vehicle naturally. And then Uber would always have a driver in the car to take over. And one of the things that AI driving was trained by is if the driver took over, then that was whatever you were doing was bad. So mark that with avoidance confidence, right? So the self-driving car would learn by the driver interrupting it, would significantly learn by the driver interrupting it. Well, one of the things that Uber did was they disabled the Volvo's collision avoidance things. And the driver was watching a video while driving, so they weren't really monitoring. And a homeless person with a bicycle was crossing the road, and the collision avoidance would have kicked in but didn't, and the driver wasn't watching, and Uber's technology didn't detect it. It didn't register as something to avoid, and so the pedestrian was hit and killed, and Uber canceled the program.
That's terrible.
I mean, that's kind of an example of. I kind of think the first thing we'll see with self-driving cars is I could see a city like Portland just say, okay, nobody can drive anymore. You can only do self-driving car. Here's the app. They'll just pick you up and take you, and then the fleet will drive constantly, right? And then nobody needs to own cars. I could see them doing that. But you can't mix human drivers and car drivers at the same time with the current state of technology.
Very interesting.